It's on top. There you go.
You good? Okay. Good evening. Would you stand with me for the invocation and pledge of allegiance? With us this evening, we have Mr. Fred Fenton. If you would lead us in prayer, sir.
Sure. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we come before you tonight at this council meeting, Father, and we're just so thankful that we have the freedom that we can join together and make decisions for our community, Father, and we're just so blessed to live in this country. And Father, we're one nation under God. We'll stick to that. And this council is doing work for the community, doing it the right vein. And Father, we just thank you and we praise you that we can be here. We love you, Jesus. We thank you that we can be here, and we hope for decisions in your favor. We love you and we praise you, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Mr. Leach, pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If I could have, wait a minute.
We can talk loud.
Heck yeah. Could we have all the players and the coaches up front, please?
Okay. All right, you guys, turn around and face your family.
So I'd like to present to you the 2021 Vienna Recreation 8U baseball team, who finished the season undefeated with a 17-0 record.
Wow.
And real quick, because of course my favorite player is my son. He played on this team, but as far as a group of coaches and a group of players, yes, these guys, they dominated the competition, but it was so nice to see. I mean, I know Melissa, somebody came up to her and thanked her. They never took a gracious beating so badly, because these coaches taught these kids so much about the game. They taught them how to be respectable winners and not losers, because they didn't lose any games, you know, but still. And I commend these guys and these four coaches. I couldn't ask my son to play in a better group of guys, because they taught him the game. They showed him how to behave themselves. And even when they were completely destroyed a team, they would take one base at a time. They wouldn't rub it in, because they know how it feels. I'm sure one time in their life, you know, they played against that coach, you know. But I can't think that's what Vienna Rec's all about. You know, I knew you guys know we had some issues that we're going to address with Vienna Rec, I think, that I saw, but it's going to get better every year. But to just show these guys and show these kids how to play the game, how to play with respect, was just unbelievable. And the fans were super awesome. You guys, you were great fans. And then there's times that I think I got yelled at as a fan, and you never heard a coach get yelled at, you know, because they remain cool. So they exemplified what a Vienna Rec great coach is all about. So kudos to these guys, and they did so good. I'm so proud of what they did. Like I say, be 17-0 in any league is crazy. I don't care how good you are. So that's enough of that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for what you did for my boys and the other kids on the team.
So I'll read the names you
I'll
give.
thank that.
All right?
Tell you what, you guys, when Randy Rapp, when he calls your name, I want you to. We'll stand down here, Randy. I want you guys to tell them what position you played, because I know you guys played a lot of them, because sometimes we move the infield, the outfield to the infield. So you guys, when he calls your name, tell him what position you played.
Coach Jeff Schramm. So what position you play?
Third baseman.
And Coach Schramm, his ERA was, in baseball, you want to have a low ERA, but in coach pitch, you want a high ERA. I think his ERA was 24.6 out of 25. So Coach was a good pitcher.
Coach Jason Martin. Coach Jeff Maley.
And Jeff, of course, you guys know he led the league in strikeouts. We have out of 17 games to strike out 5 times, and Jeff had 4 of them, I think. But other than that, but he did all right though.
Coach Dave Hosper.
Thank you.
Drew Mason. Whoops, I'm sorry.
Drew, what position do you play, Drew?
Second, I think every position in the outfield.
All right, so
Wherever the ball went, right?
that's it, yeah.
Ezra Brookover.
There's the way, you got, Ezra, you gotta tell them where did you play at?
Right field.
Right field.
And second.
Second base, all right.
Cam Harbor.
Where did you play at, Cam? Left center and third base, all right.
Lucas Cosper.
Don't tell me, tell these people out here where you played.
Third base and outfield.
Did he make the game winning? Who made the catch? Oh, that's phenomenal. There you go, hey. There you go. All right.
Trey Vanderwall.
Trey,
Second and outfield.
second and outfield, all right.
Hudson Bowie.
That's the word you play at.
Pitcher and left
Left center, all right, good deal.
Griffin Bowie.
And I know where you, go ahead, tell them.
Third, pitcher and first.
Yes, all right, third pitcher and first.
Cooper Maley.
I played shortstop and outfield.
And this kid right here, he's a freak. They're all there. Seriously, we got some great ball players. He was just a great shortstop.
Tucker Martin.
First and outfield.
First and outfield, Tucker's a beast. I see these kids, they hit the fence. It was crazy. I mean, they were troopers.
Owen Schramm.
Pitcher and outfield.
There we go.
Is that it? Are we done?
I think we're all done.
No.
Oh, wait a minute. Tyson Ellum.
Where'd you play at, Tyson Elam?
Catcher and catcher.
Catcher and pitcher. All right, got second base, isn't it?
Yep.
All right.
So coaches, we appreciate your time. You give up a lot to make our kids better. And I think you get a lot as a family member from doing this, but thank you all. It's a lot to take on a team like this and give up the time it takes. So thank you very much. I know all the parents of these kids appreciate it, and if there's anything you'd like to say, we'd love to hear it.
I'm the strikeout king, you're the talker.
This is one of the best groups that I've been doing this. I have an older boy, he's 14. I've been doing this for about 7 years now. It's probably, I would say, the best group that I've ever coached. We no behavior problems, no in-team fighting. These guys got along great. They support each other. They cheer for each other. And at the end of the day, I tell the parents when we start that, it's nice that we won 17 games, but the big thing is I want these kids to come back next year and play again and just really like the game that much to want to come back and do it again.
Okay. Well, I have to say thank you for all of you that don't know this out in the crowd. Every time one of our teams wins a championship, the council members get these fantastic rings. Yes. Have you seen these rings? These are nice. And I tried mine on, it fits.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, wait a minute. Are these your rings?
Yeah.
Oh, are you kidding me, Mike?
All right. There we go. Congratulations. Now, if you got we'll stand up here and we'll get out of the picture. You guys take pictures of what you want to do and what you got to do. Here you go. Thank you. Congratulations, guys. Congratulations, sir.
One more call.
Got your first bling as an 8-year-old.
You wanna call it up? After it's on three?
There we go. Make it a stud. Take that ring out and put it on.
Yeah.
Show them your
Good
bling.
playing, guys. We gotta get a picture, everybody hold it up.
We're all out. We'll get you all next week.
Wait a minute, hold on. How come you say New England Patriots on there? Oh, they look like Super Bowl rings.
Oh, that one's out.
Oh, that's the one for here, yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
All right, you guys are welcome to take pictures.
All right,
Come up here and-
Mike, get up here, let's
All right,
take a picture real quick.
I'll stand by Jason, I'll look better.
All right, fellas, we need to pack it in a little tighter.
Pack it in, boys.
Everybody in tight.
All the paparazzi coming, we like this.
Come on, fellas.
Yeah, a couple of you guys get underneath.
Yep.
It's gonna be in the paper, guys, so make your prettiest face. Try to do the best you can.
Got the rings out there? Just look straight ahead, smile at them all. All right, all right, Tucker, put your,
Yeah, you can see
thing
your
down
face.
just a little so you can see your face. There you go. Everybody ready?
Should we give him a number one sign here?
Oh, yeah, number one.
All right.
All right.
Hey guys, you wanna call up Astros one more time?
Yeah.
Let's do it one more time. One more time.
Drop
Everybody
those
in here.
chambers out.
Everybody in here. Come on. We're yelling. Here we go. Cam, you gonna call it up?
No.
Cam, you ready? Astros on three. Ready?
1, 2, wait, what?
Astros on three. Ready?
Astros on 3. 1, 2, 3, Astros!
Oh, gosh, yeah, that was good. I love it. That was great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Yes, I got it.
You guys can spread out now if you want. I mean, it's plenty of space.
I'd like to call to order this regular session of Vienna City Council for June 24th, 2021. Let the record reflect that I've taken roll that all members of council are present this evening with the exception of Mr. Bibby, who is absent. Having a quorum, we will proceed. This evening for our public forum, Kara and Bruce Stouffer signed up, but oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say, where'd they go? All right. So you were up. And you need to go to the podium, please, so we can hear you on the microphone. Phone.
Are we live on here?
Turn it towards yourself so that
First off, I just want to recognize the council. I think it's fantastic that we're recognizing the youth in the community. It makes us proud to be a part of a community that things like that take place. I'll introduce myself. I'm Bruce Stouffer, my wife Kara. We're residents at 4705 8th Avenue. We've been here a couple of times in regards to stormwater. We had another recent incident. We made it through with just water in our garage, but it's basically due to sandbagging in front of my driveway. I know it's a repeated theme, but I'm just trying to get an update. We went online, we filled out the stormwater survey that you had requested. I just would, I'd like an update, I guess, to see what the plan of action would be. And is there a plan of action on the 4700 block 8th Avenue?
I have a video of the
Yeah.
flooding again, if
I mean-
anyone's interested in seeing it, or
But-
if you want to do that. I've shown it before.
But I'm sure you're well aware of how it takes place, but that's, I mean, I'm just here to see if there's some update that you could provide. I've heard that, I've seen markings on our street. I don't know if that means stormwater work or if there's anything even in the plan or budgeted for this type of work.
Are you able to show the video, like, by kind of where the thing
We
is
did
now?
last time. We
Yeah,
put it
just-
under here
Yep.
somehow. Is it Zoom or?
Yeah.
The gray knob on this.
Towards the wall, there's a gray knob.
Which one is your house? Are you at your
We're
house?
facing the street. We're
That's
looking out our front
across the
door.
street.
Okay.
And this is the
So
best
there you can see the
representation
water.
of the water that's in front of the house, but it backs up,
You can
to
see
our
it on-
driveway. It backs up and runs down the driveway and collects against our garage door. But it's just more than the system's able to handle. But, I don't know how much rain fell that evening. It's obviously quite a bit. And, it isn't our first rodeo. This is 20 residents for 22 years or so.
And we get at least, I don't know, at least 3 or 4 floods a year, probably, maybe more sometimes, but, we're getting pretty old. It's and watching Bruce run up the driveway with a 55-pound sandbag or whatever, when he has a bad back, I have a bad back. It's getting pretty old. And the countless amount of money that we put into this ourselves to try and fix it,
I'm running out of options, to be honest. I don't know what my next step needs to be. If there's something planned for repairs or to improve that drainage, I don't wanna spend money myself if there's something in the works. And I guess I'm just here to try and find out if there's some type of update you can provide.
Mr. Stoffer, you know that we've been to your house numerous times. And we also had, an engineering study done with every option that could be thought of. And up to this point, council's never authorized any funds in order to either buy your house or tear the street up and install the large retention tanks that's needed. Your house actually sits below where the drainage ditch is, so it's impossible. That water can't drain that way. It's just a shame that when your house was built, that, the elevation of that is the lowest point in that entire neighborhood. And I feel sorry for you because like I say, we've talked many times. I've seen the water in your garage, okay? And I know all the things that you've done, the different things you've tried, and we've tried. We've put in additional drains to get the water off the street faster. Unfortunately, when that street floods, if someone drives down it, it makes it worse. And so, we have an opportunity now with some additional funding that the city has received that we could fix this problem if council so chooses, okay? It's just a matter of, we have to authorize the money to either buy your house or to do the massive repairs and install the underground retention system. But that's entirely up to council's decision of what to do. Craig Metz is here this evening with us. I know that you've met Craig many times also. I've been in your backyard a lot. It's just, there are no easy solutions, are there, Craig?
No, there isn't. I want to make a point here. These folks is gone. Sometimes people in the city have problems they don't want to address themselves. These people did the best they can to address the situation. They have put retention systems in the backyard, tried to pipe it at their cost. They have gone beyond anybody I've ever seen in this city to help themselves. It's time for us to help them. It is part of the stormwater study. We haven't really reviewed that yet. That was part of the Vienna Utility Board meeting. I know your role is a priority. So.
I have a question. I actually live on that street as well, so I know what you're talking about. Are you aware that one avenue over on 9th Avenue in the exact same spot, they have standing water over there as well.
Dude,
So, I mean,
that area is, the piping is small, but if I increase the piping, it really floods these people up.
gotcha.
So I keep it that as small and let it kind of filter out at a certain rate, before it really damage these people's houses. Okay?
Okay.
So, we're into the discussion now about where we're going to allocate this money. All right? As Craig said, you're one of the top ones. You've been, and for what it's worth, you've not been a screamer. You haven't made a threat or any of that stuff. You just wanted help. Pretty simple. All right? So, once we get a chance to discuss the priorities and where we can do this, then we'll let you all know.
Is there anything that we can do on our, I mean, is there anything you need from us?
Not that I know of, Craig.
Yeah, about as much as you can.
I just wanna make sure that there isn't anything, any further needs that we could provide.
If there is, we'll contact you, okay?
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Council, for your
Appreciate it.
comments.
Greatly.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Okay. Hey, Teresa, can you hear me?
Yes.
Did you get a hold of Marty?
She said to call if you have any questions.
Just call if we have any questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Been watching the live stream.
Oh, good. All right. So we're good then. Okay. All right. So we'll move on with our agenda this evening. The report of the minutes from the council meeting held on June the 10th, 2021 has been printed, posted, and circulated. Are there any corrections to the minutes? If there are no objections, then the minutes will stand approved as posted. We have no unfinished business this evening, so we'll move right into our agenda this evening. The first item on our agenda is the resolution approving the new Business Economic Development Tax Credit application for Rare Hospitality International Incorporated. That will be the Longhorn Steakhouse. They are taking the property where Ruby Tuesday stood. They're doing a refurbishment of the building, but they do qualify. They filled out their application for the tax credit, and everything appears to be in order. Mr. Skogstad, you've reviewed that?
I have, and they comply with, based on the information that's been provided to me, they comply with their order.
Okay. So I'll read the resolution. It says the resolution to approve the new Business Economic Development Tax Credit application for Rare Hospitality International Incorporated, Longhorn Steakhouse. Be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Vienna that it hereby approve the new Business Economic Development Tax Credit application for Rare Hospitality International Incorporated, Longhorn Steakhouse, as set forth in the attached application incorporated by reference herein. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the resolution.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution to approve the new Business Economic Development Tax Credit. Is there any further discussion?
Can you tell me how much this credit's gonna be?
No one knows. It's a 3-year abatement of the B&O tax, and it's all based on how much business they do.
Right, but I mean, there's a general idea how much Longhorn Steakhouse generates in business, so I mean, are we talking about over 3 years? Are we talking about, $15,000 annually? Are we talking about $100,000 annually?
And we have no idea. I mean, it's based on their sales. Whatever B&O tax they would have paid us is abated for 3 years as an incentive to get them to come. They do have to have, and Russ, you'll probably have to help me with this, they have to have at least $250,000 a year in employee wages.
Right, and that's,
Okay.
I mean, that's relatively low considering. So I thought, you would have some general idea what this is gonna cost.
I do not.
Okay.
We don't have, how can you guess what kind of sales they're gonna do? Okay?
Can I ask another question, please? So we have other businesses, fortunately, that are also coming into the city who probably will have a $250,000 or plus annual payroll. Are they gonna be asking for B&O tax exemption as well?
I hope so.
Okay. I find it just kind of curious that, I mean, I'm very grateful we have new businesses coming in. But We had an opportunity last year during COVID to offer a B&O tax exemption to our businesses that are already here, our local folks who have been in business for a long time, and we couldn't even give them a $50 tax exemption on the B&O tax. So, you know, here we are tonight offering a B&O tax exemption to, you know, basically Darden, who, you know, multi-million-dollar corporation. So, you know, for that, I mean, I just have concerns about that, because you can't tell me exactly how much this is going to be over the, you know, a ballpark. I understand it's not gonna be a definite number, but you have somebody should have an idea.
Anybody can Google it.
Well, I have Googled it.
So what's your opinion?
Well, I mean, that's a lot of money to just.
Well, I think my comment with respect to this is that, you know, we had Ruby Tuesday go out. That is a very nice, I mean, well built out building. I understand your point about existing companies and and when you're talking about the $50 exemption for the B&O tax, most of these small businesses in West Virginia or in Vienna, a lot of them it's a nominal amount relative to the, you know, and to get another part of this abatement policy reason is to allow this business to get established. It's for 3 years, right?
Yes.
And so, you know, I mean, we had this business come in, it went out, you know, we've got a lot of empty commercial property in Vienna and all through Wood County. And so, you know, if like I said, you know, the same question you asked the mayor, it's anybody's guess or whatever you can research to know what they're gonna do in business. So, but to give somebody a chance to get started, established, and to give them a little break to help them do that in our community that will pay us off in the long term, I'm in support of it.
Tom?
If you look at it one way, it won't cost us anything because we're not getting anything out of it now.
That is correct.
Here, here.
That is correct. Any further discussion? All right, then I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the resolution to approve the new business economic development tax credit application for Rare Hospitality International, Longhorn Steakhouse, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed? Motion carries 6-1. 5-1, thank you. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Hey, Teresa, would you call Marty and tell him thank you? All right, that way we'll be on standby. The second item on our agenda this evening is the resolution for the bid approval for the Senior Center HVAC installation. Mr. Leach, I'm sorry I didn't give you this earlier.
Sealed bids for the installation of HVAC Center for Senior Center were open on Friday, June 11th, 2021 at 10 a.m. with the following results. Alpha Technologies, 1 unit 9,000, 3 units 24,600. Murray Sheet Metal, 1 unit 7,995. Upgrade to a train, 82.95. 3 units 22,575. Train, 23,495. Tri-State, 1 unit 13,210. 3 units 25,610. Ashes HVAC, 1 unit 6,694. 3 units 20,082. DNR Heating and Cooling, 1 unit 5,699. 3 units 18,573. After careful review of the bid proposals, the recommendation for council for the approval of the installation of the HVAC for the senior center is DNR Heating and Cooling for $18,573 to replace all 3 units. Funding for this project is from the general fund, 905-6559.
Russ, can I have that back? I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the low bid from DNR Heating and Cooling in the amount of $18,573.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the low bid from DNR Heating and Cooling. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, then I'll call for the question. All those in favor of accepting the low bid from DNR Heating and Cooling, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. I think that's amazing. We estimated that would be $33,000, and that bid came in for $18,500, and those are Bryant units. That's an excellent price, and so we should be good for many, many years with this. So they'll get started very soon on that project. The last item on our agenda this evening is a discussion of the American Rescue Plan. I asked all of you last week to submit your interest in these projects so we could determine where we would concentrate our funding. Craig Metz is with us this evening. Craig, before we get into the choices that council has suggested, what I guess I'd like you to do is please step up to the podium and we'll talk for a few minutes about, for one item, one of the discussions was the new water project on River Road.
I'm sorry, I stood my insulate.
Oh, you're fine, Tom. You're fine.
I'm not used to it. I'm always late.
Everyone has those pictures, Craig, in your estimate sheet, so you can refer to them. They should. No, no.
Let's let you all look at it then. Yeah, what this is a water line upgrade that we need to do. It runs from well 7, 8 by the GAC filter down to 20th Street behind Hall's Chocolate. The reason for this upgrade is when we had the water crisis, the C8 crisis a couple years ago, our biggest issue was getting water from one end of the town to the other. In that section of town, there's only 4-inch connectors. So we couldn't push water from Wellfield 9 and 10, which is at 10th Street, up to the center part of the town. We was limited what we could do. With this line upgrade, what this does is if I have a failure in any of my well fields, which we have 3, and we had 3 for redundancy, I could push water from 11 through 14, from which is on 58th Street, down through Grand Central, tie in this 8-inch line and feed the lower part of town. And vice versa, I can push water from 9 and 10 up to the upper part of the town where 58th Street and above. So right now we cannot do that. There's restrictions there by the 4-inch lines, and there's just no way. Okay.
So when we look at your drawing, Craig, the aerial photograph, on the left-hand half, the white square that is there is where the GAC filter is.
Here?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. And so the red line starts right there because that's where it was terminated.
Yeah.
When they, and so
Well,
from
actually-
there, it would go all the way down in front of the Johns Manville facility, and then all the way down the red line on the other side, clear down to where Hall's Chocolate is.
That's correct.
That is the pathway.
Yes.
Okay.
And what that does is also, in the past, we have run the water line from Grand Central down 28th Street, and it ends at River Road. It ties in, it'll tie in there, plus at Hall's Chocolate. Okay.
In this design that you've presented, is there a connection for the tie-in to the mini bell and the
Yes,
housing
there is.
development is there?
Yeah, currently Mini Bell is on a well service. They have requested water service. When they do request water service, I have to do a feasibility study, see if I can supply them potable water. We have included in this project of the boring underneath the CSS railroad tracks, tie into their complex, also feed future water to Spencer's Landing.
Okay, and based on the estimate sheet that you have attached with this, the cost that's listed here is $443,500 to run that water line.
That's correct.
And I know that you probably don't have an update on this, but these numbers were calculated very recently. Are these going to be good numbers for the piping expense?
It's good for 7 days.
Yeah.
That's what piping's going for right now. You get quote on piping. They quote used to be for 90 days. Now it's 7 days. So things are getting real expensive. A lot of projects are going in place. A lot of pipes being bought. So this is good 7 days ago. I'm not it goes up from here on out.
Well, I know always in the past in our discussions, it's not the cost of the pipe that drives the project, it's getting it in the ground,
Yeah, the ditch.
you know, and so hopefully it won't vary too much from this.
Well, let's hope.
Yeah, I know.
We're getting real short on contractors. There seems to be some type of work delay on everything. No workers, I guess. And a lot of things are going out to bid, a lot of projects. Contractors are seeing the value in the work. It's being polite. So prices are keep going up. So,
Tom, you have a comment or a question?
Is there any chance, I've had some people complain to me about the railroad tracks at John Mound, that being a hazard.
Those will be removed on this project.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So I can take credit for it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
You were the first one to suggest it,
That's
Tom.
right.
There you go.
That's right. Yep.
Write that down. Okay, all right.
Tommy.
Before we go into the list, Craig, the other thing that I would like for you to talk about
Mayor, I'm sorry, I got a question.
on the water, Jim? Oh, go.
We got Craig on the spot.
Go ahead.
You know, I said in the last meeting, I'm concerned about the price of material, shortage of labor that's generated by some of the things we've had going on with COVID. And I recognize the fact that, you know, the labor getting in the ground, you know, is the bigger part than the materials. But it seems to me this project is not urgent, right? I mean, I know you want to get it done, so everything's urgent for Craig.
You got it there.
Okay.
You're learning.
But I stand by that, you know, these spikes we're seeing right now, based on the research I've done and the reading I've done with the real estate market, with so on, you know, it's inflationary based because of the influx of cash. And to say that this isn't gonna stabilize sometime, and I don't think the not too distant future, so I'm just putting out there that I don't know why we couldn't earmark the higher number of the funds, and then just like the situation, just a simple example of how the HVAC came in, why did it come in so much lower than we expected? You know, I guess, you know, HVAC units aren't in short supply, but, so I think that's where the consideration in terms of, you know, do we think we could earmark the higher number to have a little bit of patience and see, and I don't know relative to, you know, because I just bought metal for my roof, and I bought it last summer, and I bought this summer, and it was double, you know, and I don't expect that to continue. So that's just my point in all this, that I realize Craig would like to get it done, get the project scheduled, funded, and so on, but daggone, if we could save a third by being a little patient, I think that's worthy of conversation.
I agree with Jim, and that is a gamble. If you wish to take it, you can. Let me give you a couple of examples though. 5 years ago, we sat here and everything was fine with the water system. Then this little product come up called C8, and I lost everything I had. Okay. What's the next crisis? I've been here for 23 years, and I've lived through quite a few of them. Some, you know, everything from Y2K to C8 to deratios. Things happen that we don't plan for. So I would like to have this in place for the redundancy of the water system to supply the potable water to the city of Vienna. We could wait and not use this money for this project, and we could go out to bid. I want to give you a little example, just like the sewer system. If we use this money and do the sewer upgrades, it's $1.5 million. Okay. If we go out to bid and have to borrow the money and raise rates for the customers, that same project will go up to 1.95 million. Okay. That's the difference between borrowing the money and having the money on hand to do the project. So just got to keep that in mind.
Tom?
What percentage of the total price would material be?
It's outlined in your quote. It's a breakdown per product. You get the 8-inch upgrade or 8-inch line. Right now you're sitting at $128,700.
So it's about over 25% of the total.
Mm-hmm.
What, so we have this, and I like this, will we be getting additional reports? I can picture having 10 of these, you know, with a dollar amount and a map of the stormwater, sewer, water, all that stuff, and then we can lay it out and start prioritizing and figuring that out. Is that what, are we planning on doing that? Is that what is this just the first installment?
Well, you know, I don't mean to, I don't mean to give anybody a hard time, but you didn't give me enough time. If I could have got your estimate sooner, I'd have got this done. I mean, Mr. Bibby sent his in first, and I mean, I've got pictures and all kinds of junk for Rogers ready, but you have to give me a little time to work on the things that you all want, and I'll get them all. Yes, we will have the estimates, and we'll have the designs and all that, so you'll know what kind of dollars, because the money that we have is $1.4 million. That's the first installment, all right? We won't get the second one for a year. So when we decide which way we want to go on this, then we'll have to divide that pie up as efficiently as we can.
Okay, I don't mean to be argumentative, but so this was for a water main improvement,
Yes.
but Roger said
No.
stormwater and streets.
No.
What?
The water's mine.
I thought you were saying that this
No.
was Rogers.
No, that's mine.
Oh, okay, all right,
Okay.
all right.
No, we'll get to that in a minute when we go through all that. That one's mine. And the other one is the sewer project on 12th Street. Okay? At the utility board, we discussed many of these projects, and the utility board did not make a decision on what they would recommend to you all. And so because our utility board got canceled, then we didn't get it. So I asked Craig to come and talk about these two projects because I know he's very familiar with both of them. And so the other one is the upgrade to the 12th Street or 12th Avenue.
12th Street.
Sewer, 12, okay, the sewer upgrade.
Yeah.
So if you'd take us through that.
Yeah, Melissa, for your question, what you asked, if you get a quote from me or a project from me, it'll look like this.
Awesome.
Okay, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
Because that's what we do. But even the streets, which we just bid out, there's always a breakdown on the project.
Awesome, thank you.
I have a question before you move on to the sewer project. If this was approved, how long does it take to do this project?
That's a good question. It'll take a month just to get it. It takes 3 weeks to get the bid specs wrote, bid out. It usually runs 2 weeks to get back through finance, then the council. You're looking probably September, October at the earliest.
And then to complete it?
Oh, a good contractor to have that completed in 2 weeks.
Okay. Well, because I'm trying to figure out the timing, because that other tranche of money coming at this time next year.
In October, if it goes to out in the field for construction in October, they'd have to have it done by November so I could replace the asphalt. Because the plant's going to close down in November.
And they don't open them back up until spring?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Thank you.
April, May. Okay.
Sewer project.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, the next project is the sewer line upgrade from 17th Street down to 12th Street. Right now, we have an undersized line. And with our I&I issues, it has a tendency to overflow in the pond run and into streets and people's houses. We use some of their houses for containment. With this upgrade, it will eliminate that and get the product to our 12th Street plant so we can pump it to Parkersburg. It's like stormwater issues. These lines were put in place in the 50s and 60s, and there's 10 houses in that area. Now there's 1,000. So
You say that you're using some of the houses for containment.
it
Is that what you
backflows
just
in
said?
people's houses.
Yeah. Okay.
Nobody wants to be there.
I know. It almost sounded like we put something in there to help catch it, but that's not. They're just the ones that are.
We've got such a surge in sewer system when it rains in that area that this line will not hold it. It doesn't have the capacity.
Okay.
Need to increase the size of the line and get it to 12th Street. to our
Con-
pumps.
Yeah, so containment is not a reference to us containing it, it's containment as in that's where it shows up.
Yeah.
Got it.
Tom?
Will that help the, on 13th Avenue there about 10th Street, would this help alleviate any of that?
It is part of the project. It does drain that particular area, yes.
So to help us.
Sewer, yes. Not stormwater.
Oh.
Yeah, stormwater, I think what you're referring to
Yeah, you're
is
right, yeah.
it runs in the back down to into Parkersburg, and there's a restriction on that pipe that keeps that water backflow. It goes underneath the TJ Maxx old store. That's Parkersburg.
Is there any plan to help that situation?
We've looked at that area. It's a difficult area to address. Did you break your mic?
I hope so. Everybody hopes so.
Oh, you rolling over.
That area is part of the study, but right now that area is not causing structural damage. So that makes it backs up in people's yards, causes flooding, but it doesn't get into people's houses.
That particular area is not in the
folks.
city limits either.
Right, and it's like I said, that's Parkersburg's pipe. So
What area is that?
Where you're talking about, Tom, down there behind TJ Maxx,
yeah,
that's not in the city.
no.
That line that goes underneath that parking area right there, I mean, it's way undersized.
You talking about the old TJ Maxx?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, this area is at 10th Street.
Then Craig didn't understand what you were talking about then.
It all drains that area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the drainage.
So so do you have, do we have an estimate or anything like that on that sewer project?
Yeah, do you not have the
I don't
drawings?
think
I'm
so.
sorry.
Did I?
Thought you had that. Yeah, I can show it to you. The estimate on that project is the $1.5 million.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to have a copy of that, please.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Does everybody else have it?
So,
No, but it's never been recommended by the utility board yet, so
No,
Oh, okay.
that's why we didn't, I mean,
yeah, we're just talking about.
we've
tonight.
had the
Okay.
engineering study from Burgess and Nyepel done.
Right.
There are areas all over town
Yeah.
that have been highlighted. And so, you know, you all have to make a decision of, you know, what kind of project we want to do. This one was Craig's recommendation simply because of the undersized piping and what have you. All right? But you'll get the full study.
Okay.
There, it's done. But, you know,
Mhm.
we have it all, so you'll get aerial photos and everything. All right?
so I have a question,
Sure.
Craig. This did not include the underground tanks that you spoke about on 12th
I
Street.
did. Yeah, I met with our engineers, Mike Davis. We have done preliminary work on the tank or design on tank, and he's run through some calculations how much this is going to increase the flow to design that tank's capacity. My original thought was to bury them tanks, but it looks going to be substantially cheaper if I just install like a 70-horse pump and pump up into a tank above ground, because the water table at the plant is being right next to the river. And it's a lot cheaper just to build a big swimming pool above ground. So, but we haven't got the calculations on that yet.
Okay, so in my recollection, and I was going to look through my iPad here to find it, but that was actually like a $2 million project, not a 1.
It is if it goes up to bid and we have to borrow the money, it's the 1.9 million. It's-
Oh.
Yeah, it's just, if we use our money, it's 1.5. We got the bid and go through the legalities, everything. It's that. It's the 1.975 million. So
Okay, so because this is a sewer project, if we, for example, didn't use the ARPA money, we would have to go out to bid, right?
that's correct.
Okay, so that's
Well,
gonna.
no, we still have to get the bid no matter what.
Well, I mean, we'd have to
go
get a-
to bond council, and then you have to go through right-of-way issues, and you can add about $400,000 to the project.
Okay, and so that obviously would raise water sewer rates.
Yes.
Potentially.
Okay. I mean, I don't know, you know, what the debt service on that would be. I mean, we have very little money for debt service, so, I mean, I think less than $200,000.
In these two projects we're talking about, that's the top priorities, in my opinion, of the water and sewer systems, okay? There's a bunch more. I know we all talked about hydrants. Randy, you've asked me to look about hydrants and the ones that need replaced in the city. Each hydrant we replace, you bid out the bids, we got 10 grand a hydrant. So, if you want to place 9, it's $90,000. So, there's a lot of smaller water line tie-ins. Right now we have a miles of 1.25-inch galvanized line that needs to be replaced with 2-inch line. Most of our water leaks are on that 1.25-inch galvanized line system. That's future stuff. So, I mean, you could, hate to shock anybody, but yeah, you could spend $30 million in the water and sewer system and just start to touch it. So.
That's neat with that study. You've got all these things, and we have the data now. It's just a matter of analyzing and figuring out what we're going to do. So I'm glad that Burgess and Nyepel did that correct.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we did the whole city, so
Yeah.
that was huge. Now we have a playbook to go by. Yeah.
Correct.
It's very detailed too, Mike. It's
Good.
Yeah.
and they've done a good job.
Good.
But Craig's right. There are red dots everywhere.
Mhm.
So, all right. So, Craig, while we're on this,
Sure.
You mentioned the fire hydrants.
Mhm.
That's one of the projects that Mr. Bibby put forth. There are about 230 fire hydrants in the city of Vienna. And of those 230, there are 9 fire hydrants that have some issue with them. We only have 1 fire hydrant that's actually out of service, but there are some of them that when they were installed, you have to turn a valve on before the fire hydrant can actually be used. It's not a good situation for the fire department because when they go out, being able to hook right to the fire hydrant saves a lot of time. So anyway, we've mapped all of the 9 fire hydrants. Craig's got a fantastic GIS program that has mapped every fire hydrant in town based on location and flow rates. And there are 9 of them that are marked that need repair. Now, Craig's guys can do those repairs, but it takes a long time for us to get it done. We do them one at a time after hours. And so in order to repair the 9 that need done, I think that's one of the things that we should think about spending part of this money for, to just bid the entire 9 out and get a company in here to do them all at once. Okay, it's a great addition. Then we have 100% capacity on our water distribution. And, that's one of the things that Mr. Bibby actually did a tremendous amount of work. He worked with Fire Chief Scholl on this. And, the map's here. All of the fire hydrants are here. The other 2 projects that he put on his list, they need some 5-inch supply line for the 2 pumpers, which would be an expense of $14,400. And then the sirens that are on the poles at 17th, 41st, and 51st Street, in addition to the one at the Central Fire Station, need replaced. Some of them are not working, and the estimate on that would be $8,400. Those are the projects that he specifically singled out. As like everybody else, the other thing that he suggested was stormwater, which we know is an issue. And the last thing was the streets. And so, Craig, would you give us an update on the bid that came in today on our streets?
Yeah, we had the bid opening day on the streets proposed. My estimate on the streets, it was hard to estimate the price. What we did was what we got 2 years ago and add 10% to it. We come in at $1.1 million for street repairs that I picked out. We had 2 bidders. We had five people pick up bid packets, 2 return the bids. Brown's Asphalt come in at $734,181. So, pretty excited about that. It's a good price. Not sure how he's going to do it, but next bidder was at Harper Construction, which was subbing under West Virginia Paving at $960,000. So, like I said, our estimate was 1.1. So,
Great.
we'll be next time come to council. That'll be in front of you all to decide if you want to award that contract or not. So,
And it's kind of cool, Craig, 'cause I know with that study, I know there's some streets that need it, but you're not touching them because you know eventually those streets are going to have to be torn up and water lines
That's correct.
replaced. So that was cool. Good move on that one, obviously.
Yeah.
'Cause we're not going to pave streets and tear them up later. So
now the streets that needs paved in that water project area, what I'll do is come through and just patch and do a little milling in house and patching to get through.
good.
This does not include the concrete we have coming up. We're running bid specs for concrete work per square foot replacement. So what we'll do, instead of just replacing whole streets, we'll come through, bid it out to where a contractor comes in and replace sections of streets in concrete. Okay, it might be 10 sections at one street, might only be one on another street, but
Good.
we'll bid that out and let the contractor do it.
Okay.
So your bid actually came in less than what you got 2 years ago, the price? You said you
Well,
had a 10%.
per tonnage.
However it went, but
Yeah,
based on what you paid 2 years ago, we're getting a better price.
It appears that way, yes.
Yeah, so, I have one more question, and, because I want to make clear, I mean, I absolutely support getting this water system, equilibrium established and being able to do that. So between the sewer project you're talking about and this water project, and you're gonna bid both those out, so they could be being done contemporaneously, right?
Yeah.
And okay, that's,
Craig,
That's
just
my
hang in there. You've been here. We can keep you for a while.
No, that's fine.
All right.
I'm good.
Yeah,
So-
you missed the last couple meetings, and we missed you. So
I missed one.
Well, I'll have to go check my record.
Jeez, I got kids
So,
play, I got a lot of kids play ball too. Okay, a lot.
He's got 47 grandkids,
That's
Mike.
what I know.
He really has his fair share.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't go 17 or 19 0, I can tell you that. It was like the other side of the coin. So, but they played. So.
All right, so I want to keep going because we got several of these things to go through tonight. So one of the other things, the sewer project and the water project we've already talked about. Going on down, the dredging of Pond Run. We've had several council members put that in as one of their priorities. Craig, I know that there's money in the Soil Conservation Service Bank. Plus, we've talked about doing this in sections.
Correct.
Can you give us an overview of how we could actually attack Pond Run?
Yeah, I think I didn't bring the numbers with me. I think there's $250,000 we have in the kitty from Soil Conservation Department, which is what we do. You all understand how that works. Is every year we put in 10 grand and they match that 10 grand, so we get $20,000 in the kitty, and then we charge them for mowing Pond Run one time. That's all they want to do is one time. We do it twice. We usually charge like $5,000. They give me $5,000 back, so it's $15,000 that goes in kitty. So over the years, we've gotten $250,000 to do projects in Pond Run. When we had the engineering estimate on Pond Run, it come in substantially higher than that. All right, so that was from the waters of the High River up to 28th Street. Okay. Now, I say we do at the lower section and work way up and do it in sections. So I would like to do like the mall section first, and then come up to possibly stop at say 12th Street. And then next year if we get more money, we can do from 12th Street to 16th or 18th or wherever we wish to do. So we don't have enough money to do the whole project. So let's start at the bottom of the slope and work way back up. Okay.
Okay, we'll get you numbers and drawings to show the different segments as
Yeah.
recommended, but we
that's
also had
detailed work.
Burgess and Nyepel do that. They've shot elevations, they've done all the stuff that could be done with Pond Run. We have all that documentation.
Just keep in mind, Pond Run is our flood control structures, okay? More silt builds up, more flooding we're gonna have in the future. So get that silt out of there, open the channels up, keep the capacity in it. And it also includes the project up in Greenmont. There's 3 retention systems, dry dams we call them. They've sealed in by actually 5 to 6 foot of silt. We need to get in there and dredge them out also. So that'd be part of the first phase, along with next to the mall.
Okay,
Cool.
all right. So one of the other projects,
Oh, I had a question.
yes, ma'am.
So, okay, so if you started at the mall, I understand that. But some of our biggest problems, and the mayor spoke about this many times, 28th Street, down there around, well, it's 29th Street, around 15th Avenue. And, you know, I was down on 17th Street Monday evening after it rained. Down there by that bridge. That, I mean, there was a lot of flooding down there. If you're starting down at the mall and you're saying, well, maybe, you know, we'll have money in the future to do the other portion of it, it seems like is that going to help the people on 28th Street and 17th Street or not?
Well, if we don't remove the silt from the lower section of town, it's like take this bottle of water, you can shake it, nothing's coming out. That's what's happening, it's hitting that silt, nothing's coming out. Now, if I take that cap off, I'm not gonna do it, but if I take the cap off, like removing the silt from around the mall, that's gonna flow a lot better out, right? So, that's why I say start to toe that slope and work way back up.
I don't believe it'll come out.
17th, pardon?
I don't think it'll come out.
You don't think so? You want to try, buddy? Just do it over there for me. Okay. Yeah, the bridges, 17th Street, especially 27th Street, is causing a lot of blockage of water. So that's part of the project of replacing the bridge to raise that up and get a little better flow in that area too.
Yeah, 17th Street's really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The closer to the river you start, it helps, it has the most effect of letting
Correct.
the water out, right?
Right. Yeah. We got to open that channel up to get that flow going.
So well, are you talking about storm, or you want to
Yeah.
talk about? Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Craig, the issue that like these folks are having with their house, they may not see the immediate benefit if you dredge that lower part of Pond Run. But at some point, their problem is we still have to.
Yeah, their issue is a particular area that has to do with line capacity. It really has to do with Pond Run. Actually, their line goes through the golf course, their drainage channel. So it doesn't have really anything to do with Pond Run.
But it could help other parts.
It could help the lower section of town, yes, and the upper section. Let the water go out, flow out quicker. So,
Jim, do you have a comment?
No, I didn't.
Okay, I'm sorry, I thought you did. Okay. So Craig, it was mentioned about the bridge on 17th Street, and we've discussed that, and you know, that's one we've had the load restrictions on. There's a question here about the bridge on 27th Street. Any thoughts on the bridge on 27th Street?
yeah, that's you know, we have a inspection done by the state road department every 2 years. They've shown that bridge is in need of replacement. It don't have a weight restriction on it yet, but it does have some structural issues. It's not going to fall tomorrow. Don't think that. But it's an I-beam construction. It sets really low to water, and there's some underlying piping that's underneath that bridge, which catches debris. So when it floods, it backs everything up. I have to go in there and clean it out every time it rains, storms. This week, since the 3.5 inches we had the other day, we've had to get in there and remove a lot of obstructions out of Pond Run. And they always catch the bridge. And 27th Street is a lowest lying bridge we have this time. So capacity. Pond Run's here, bridge is right here. Rest of them's like this, but that one's really tight. So.
Okay, so in your opinion, the 27th Street or the 17th Street bridge would be the one we need to look at first?
Both, yes.
No, sir. You don't get a both. It's not A, B, or C. It's one or the other.
I thought this was, you guys asked me what I need to do. Both is be nice. 17th Street has some structural decking issues.
Okay.
So, and that needs, right now we have a barricade on that to keep people off that structure part of it. It does need replaced. Actually, 17th Street would be the cheapest bridge we could replace. 27th Street would be the most expensive out of the two. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you. One other item on this one is the Jackson Pool. I know we had a presentation a few weeks ago about the Jackson Pool and a major project. I'm not sure that this money that we're talking about now will go far enough, but I did a inspection yesterday with Craig and with Dwayne from our code enforcement office and with Steve Black. I can tell you that in my opinion, The Jackson Pool, as it is today, will not be open next year. The pump house has some major issues on the inside of it that are going to have to be addressed. What I would like to propose is that as we develop the master plan for the park system, that we work on a multi-year improvement plan for the pool. My recommendation would be the diving board area over towards Jackson Park Drive. That deck is all shifting and has some tripping hazards on it. I would like to suggest that we get a cost estimate for replacing that section of deck and the replacement of the pump house itself. Craig, I have to say, when we went down in there and looked at that basement, that thing's in sad shape, isn't it?
That's terrible shape. That's a serious safety issue.
Yeah, and we've got a brand new pump and new piping. The machinery is going to last. I mean, the building that's around it is since 1965. I mean, I know personally we'll make it through the rest of the year and the pool will function just fine, but I'm not going to recommend we open that unless we fix that pump house.
Yeah, it's got concrete spalding and poor drainage system in that. I guess it's done 1950s, I understand, but I mean, you have downspouts and curbing draining running into a room where your pump is. You're running a 480 volt pump is amazing. It's gone this long, so that's why we went
temporary
up.
fit. I mean, sir, I know I'm not ready to spend $2.3 million on a thing that's open for a couple months out of the year, but
Correct.
that would be a good 5-year thing fixed. You know, we could fix the pump house, fix the cracks on the cement, and that's good to go for a while.
Yes, because the pool itself, it's got a new liner in it. I think we decided it was a 4-year-old liner.
Yeah, it's a couple years old.
So you've got a good swimming pool, but the deck around it, at least, and I would do it in phases. I'd remove that top deck. I don't know how many yards of concrete that is, Craig, but that's not as expensive as some of the other parts of that. But in that new pump house, we need to get started on that as soon as possible because you have to take everything out of it, build the building, and then replumb it.
Cool.
That needs some engineering work. You and I was down there, and the pump running right now is cavitating so bad it was just shaking the building.
Yeah.
The plumbing coming into it the pump is pumping more water than it can receive, so it's cavitating, which is going to just tear things up. That room needs to be built in a different section, and that filled in full concrete and just called good. But
yeah,
I have a question. So, if you would do this the way the mayor is proposing, would we be taking the idea of a splash pad down the road, that portion that was part of that drawing, would we be taking that off the table? Because there would have to be a separate filtration system for that, okay? So that's going to affect what you're going to do in the pump house, is that correct?
Why would it have to have a separate filtration system?
Because it does. You don't have the same filtration system in the pool that you're going to have in a splash pad. It's going to be two different things.
Okay, Kim, I'm not familiar with what the design is you're referring to.
What she's saying is back in when we had engineering study, and I'm not the parks director, okay, I hate to quote this, but I know that when Steve talked before and engineers looked at it, it really had to do with the baby pool. The baby pool has to have a different filtration than the pool system does.
Yeah, but that's only, well, okay.
That's what she's referring
I'm pretty
to.
sure the splash pad has to have
Well,
it.
that's part of it.
I mean,
I got you.
I know a little bit about splash pads. I'm pretty sure that's
Right.
correct.
That's part of that. I said it's baby pool area. So.
Well, anyway, the replacing of the deck and the pump house are all on this end of the pool. The splash pad and all that is a different area. That could be phase 2.
Right, but if you're
Okay.
the pump house, you have to account for that separate filtration system and how that's going to be inside the pump house. That's
Not on this one. It would be in a different area according to the way Steve was talking about the piping on it. The filtration system would be on that end next to where you come in. But
okay.
let me
be.
get some information because I don't want to speak.
I mean, that's my big concern about doing the pool in stages. I mean, that's not a bad idea. It's just, and I agree with absolutely everybody who said we need to wait until the master plan comes back from the parks. I mean, that's where I'm at. I mean, everybody knows I'm a big fan of the pool. I think we have to have a community pool. What it looks like, and what, you know, that's a whole nother discussion. But if we get the cart before the horse and we make a decision, and then we say, oh, well, we made that decision, now we can't do a splash pad, that's a big concern for me.
Well, at this point, if you would have been down in the basement with us and saw how bad that condition is, we're either gonna fix it or it's gonna be shut down.
I agree with you 100%. I was given all the pictures in the video, and it's absolutely horrible. So, and you know, there's no way we're gonna have a pool next year if you know, it's just not possible.
Yeah, it's really surprisingly bad, but at any rate, that's just, I'm throwing out ideas out here that were presented. So, we will take a look and get some more information on that.
Thank you.
All right? The other ones that we got were water and sewer, and stormwater. And so, basically, more information is needed, which we're going to get. So we'll present those. One of the things that was brought up in this was simply a comment that said that, based on the fact that our, revenue stream, that we had a positive revenue, that, spending money to reimburse a lost revenue was not something that they were leaning towards. I'd just like to make one comment on that and give you all an item to think about. We have an opportunity here, based on the specific rules that we're given, that we can reimburse ourselves for the lost revenue that we had. And even though you look at our balance sheet and it showed a positive number, the fact is, based on COVID and how many businesses were either shut down or restricted, we did not have the revenue that we would have or could have expected. And so the example that I would like you all to think about is simply this. If I had $1,000 Lowe's gift card and I handed it to you and I said, you can spend this Lowe's gift card on paint. All right? So I have one here for $1,000 in my hand, and you can spend it for paint.
Paint only.
Paint only. That's it. All right? If I have another Lowe's gift card in my hand for $1,000 and you can spend it on anything that's in the store, I would recommend that we take the Lowe's gift card that you can spend on anything in the store. And the example that I'm using in this is very simple. If you take the money that we're allowed to reimburse ourselves for lost revenue, it goes back into the general fund. There are no restrictions on general fund other than the fact that council has to determine what you spend that money on. You can spend it on anything that we normally do in our regular budget of that year. If you take that gift card and you leave it in the ARP funds, you can only spend it on very specific projects. Myself personally, I'd take the gift card that you can spend on anything in the store, and the only thing you're doing with that is you're assigning whatever lost revenue calculation is back to the general fund. All right? That's the limits on that. All right? If you leave it in the ARP funds, you have to spend it on the way it was given out. If you transfer it back and you do it as lost revenue, then it goes back into the general fund, and then it can be allocated for whatever you want it for.
I like your example, and that makes perfect sense. But my addition to that would be, what if I had $20,000 worth of painting projects to do? I wouldn't care if I got the gift card that could go to anything. I would just go ahead and take the gift card for $1,000 worth of paint, because I'm going to need 19 more of those to keep buying paint. So for me, I don't see personally a problem with using funds that are restrictive if we have projects that are 100% restrictive qualified and beyond. I mean, we could use $30 million for all the things that Craig says we need to do. So I personally don't see a problem with using all of those restricted funds for restricted projects, because we need more than that even for the projects that are set aside. So I appreciate your example, and that does make sense. But at the same time, our grocery list is much more expensive than the gift cards we have.
Yes.
So that's where I'm coming from. I don't feel like we need a lot of options because we know for the most part what we need. We'll figure out the specific projects, but for the most part, our priorities are going to be this infrastructure stuff. And I don't personally see a problem with putting it all towards that.
Okay. I mean,
That's where I'm coming
obviously
from.
our needs are greater than our resources, so,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I'm just simply saying, if you put it back in capital reserve, which we are entitled to do based on the rules, then it opens that up to where you can spend it on different projects besides the 4 that are specifically listed in the ARP rules.
Okay.
All right? Yes, sir, Tom?
If you get the Lowe's card that you could buy anything, but you could still spend all the money on paint if.
Yes, sir.
So if we chose to put it in the general fund, we still could spend it all on the restrict. It just gives us a lot of flexibility. Is that the point?
Yes, sir, it is.
So, maybe I'm misunderstanding what you're saying. If it goes into the general fund, it can then not come back out and go into water and sewer.
That is correct. You can't take money. Well,
Yes.
you can loan money from the general fund to the enterprise funds, but that's typically not done.
Right. So it's not as easy.
It's not a huge amount of money,
Well-
okay? And so going into water and sewer,
Okay, so
Amy, there's a formula, Tom, that they haven't given the specific numbers. You have to average your income out over 3 years, and there's a formula. And we contacted both Beckley and Wheeling to make sure we were doing it right. Beckley did it one way, Wheeling did it the other. So we're not doing it until we get an absolute answer.
I mean, I have a comment about that. So we have what our projected revenues are going to be on our budget process every year, right? And the revenues that we received were actually above what were projected. We don't have revenue loss. And, as I've said many times, the city did an awesome job of tightening the belt so that we saved money. So at the end of the year, we were in good shape. And you cannot forget that we still got $1.59 million in CARES Act money in reimbursement, and that's not restricted in the sense. So, for me, and I have to agree with Recorder Elam, it's like if you take that ARP money and you use it for water and sewer projects, you are not, hopefully, going to have to raise water and sewer rates, okay? And that, to me, is like a benefit to everybody, to every resident, to every business, by not having rates go up. And, there are $30 million projects, probably $30 million worth of projects that have to be done in water and sewer. This just kind of knocks it out. It's low-lying fruit, and we don't have, as we talked about having to go out to get a bond to do some of this stuff, and all the cost of borrowing. If you just straight use that ARP money, then you knock all that out. That's not an issue. So, I mean,
Well, let's wait and see what the number is.
Well, that's fine, but,
We don't know the number, but it's projected it's going to be somewhere between 4 and 4.5%.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, it just, for me, I've said this before, it just makes me nervous when you start taking money and saying, okay, well, we want to make sure it doesn't have any strings attached, because then, I mean, how it goes, people have their pet projects, and then all of a sudden it's like $10,000 here and $15,000 there and whatever, and it's gone. And just how the process works, yes, council has to approve it, but, it's kind of like the horses left the barn, and we go, okay, that sounds good, we all agree with it. And I feel very strongly about this, but to be looking ahead of water and sewer rates, that's a big issue, because we haven't raised them, when we probably should have. We have some of the lowest water sewer rates in the state, and that's true.
Okay. So the next item that was suggested was the 28th Street Stormwater Management Program. I'm sure you all are aware, because we've had residents in here talking about 18th Avenue all the way down from 28th Street clear to 15th Avenue, and that's the one that dumps out into the park beside the storage buildings that then ends up into Pond Run. And we've had massive flooding issues on 28th Street. I mean, that water, you could run a kayak down 28th Street Hill sometimes. The residents all came in here. They're very, very bad situation with that hillside that's behind behind the homes up there that, you know, there's nothing. It's just natural runoff. But that's one of the things there that is under study from Burgess and Nyepel also, that we will get more firm numbers on to figure out what to do with that. I mean, that project right there would probably impact, what, 65, 70 homes just in that area alone, Craig?
At least, yes.
Okay. And you know, there's a open drainage ditch that runs down behind most of those homes, and there's nothing that catches that water coming off the hill. It would take a pretty good modification to channel that water. Okay. Any questions on that? Jim?
No, I talked to Craig about that. I think that Spock, you know, to go to the many. I mean, it makes such a big impact on such a big number of homes. Yeah, I mean, I agree.
Okay.
So can I update you a little bit on that? Because Monday night after the storm, I just got in my car and went to all the spots throughout the city. No, not a kayak. So I ended up there. I was talking to Robert Clatworthy, who was a neighbor up there on 29th Street. And his neighbor, I cannot remember the man's name, but he was here a year and a half ago when this happened. And they just had $13,000 worth of renovations in their basement from all that damage that just finished it. And now it's all messed up again. So, yeah.
Yeah, he showed me a video. He sent me that video. That's bad.
Yeah, it's bad.
Like Jim's talking about, and these people, you know, just there's all kinds of places, little hot spots that it's just gonna take time to get them fixed, but you know they're on the map, so.
Well, that was definitely a problem.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So moving on down the list, here again, the majority going to water and sewer. I'd like to set aside some money for the removal of the dirt off the hill and whatever the next phase. Craig, I don't remember what the total was. You told me today we've removed 420 tons of dirt or truckloads.
That equaled up about 4,200 tons of dirt, or probably 400 cubic yard material we moved in 4 days.
It looks all, every day I get home from work, I'm like a little kid. I run up there and take my little pictures. That's exciting to me. So you guys will haul a lot of dirt off there in 10-ton trucks, you know, so.
Do we have an estimate from the other company that was hauling dirt, how many truckloads they took out, Mike?
Not yet.
I know I saw them several times, but I don't know how many they got. But I know just based on the amount that Craig's guys moved, that hill probably dropped 8 or 10 feet.
Oh, yeah. He's probably right around 120 truckloads right now, you know, so.
Okay. But at any rate, that's, you know, that's a start. Okay. And I know that today, Craig's guys finished the remediation down at Manville. Tomorrow they'll go in and they'll reseed and straw that area. The inspector from the state was here today. He was absolutely stunned that our guys did such a fantastic job. He said of all the sites that he's inspected over the state of West Virginia, this was the best he'd ever seen. He said most people simply do whatever the minimum is to get by. And he said Craig's guys went way overboard with the site prep and with the extra things that were done to make this project look great. And he's very proud of this one right here. And I'm very positive, Jim, you probably have an update more than I do after talking with Tom and the next steps.
Well, just briefly, although it's not on our agenda, yeah, this, you know, it's kind of a win-win because we've got a lot of dirt to get rid of, and we had a spot where we could use it very effectively, not only to meet the minimum DEP requirements, but really to improve the contour of the site and do it in a way that made sense. With respect to where we are, you know, the paperwork's been submitted, this remedial action, we have to have a public notice put out, and we have to have, you know, we're a little bit of the cart ahead of the horse because we want done, and we're saying keep up, okay? And so Greg's guys did a great job in getting that done. Derek and Tom were both on site today, our project manager and our licensed remediation specialist. You know, the paperwork's been submitted. We will, and so hopefully we're going to get the majority. Tom's final bill in this fiscal year you know, within the budget we're talking about, we had to do an extra, I mean, pretty close, because we had to do an extra round of groundwater sampling. You know, Derek told me that we can't get the DEP's numbers for their time on the site, but it's their time, it's not. So we're really, really close to, you know, getting the work that Craig and his guys did approved. Obviously, like the mayor said, they were thrilled with the quality of the work. Like, we don't see this. So we're really close to being able to submit for the final report and close out this side as well.
Yes. So, at any rate, we are getting rid of the dirt.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Okay, and so, you know, we'll just keep plugging away at it. The other thing that was listed here was money to be set aside for a future sports complex or a conference center. I think that's one of the things that the community would appreciate, is the fact that our community building is so small that at some point, if we ever had an opportunity where we could build a better facility, that we could certainly use it. I know the town would put it to use. So, Tom, I'm sorry. The last item that you put on here, policing enhancement items. Would you just tell us what you're thinking?
Well, I haven't come to have a complete proposal, but one of the things was put cameras down in the mall area, which I don't know how they do this, but they zoom in on these people's license plates, and it would help the mall as far as, you know, shoplifting, but also it would enhance their drug efforts to catch the drug dealers. I talked to the chief about it, and he was gonna talk to you, and maybe we come up with something that we would have make a significant contribution to their effectiveness.
Okay, so if you would, I'll take a minute to update you on 3 or 4 different things that are related to what Tom's referring to. I sent a list out to all of the department heads and asked them to take a look at the location of the cameras and which ones they thought were essential and which ones they thought that they could do without. And so the department heads responded back, and I know that in some of the areas we could get rid of some of the cameras because there's multiple coverage, and depending on what kind of cameras we replace them with, the field of vision is much broader, so we could go from maybe 4 cameras to 2 and still cover the same area. One of the other things that I'm very excited about is a new program that the city started. It's on our website now. If you have a home security system like one of the Ring systems where you have video cameras, we're asking you to please let us be notified of if you have a system and where it's at. The reason for that is we have the GIS capability now that once we gather all of this data from these homes in Vienna, that if you took a map of the city and there was a dot for every one of these camera systems that are there, we can look at where these areas and say, okay, this area here has got really good coverage. This area right here has got good coverage, but there's a zone right here that doesn't have any. We could add a camera right there and increase that capability to cover that area. Now, we're not asking residents to let us have access to their cameras or anything like that. There would be no monitoring or anything like that. It's simply a matter of if we had a robbery in that neighborhood, we could go back, look at our GIS and say, hey, we got 3 neighbors right there that have cameras. We could look at the video from that, and then we could say, hey, there was a red pickup truck in that neighborhood right then. Christian Ong, one of our new police officers, the guy's amazing, came up with this program, and so we're working on it to try to get the community involved, and then we'll come back and we'll figure out, you know, how many cameras do we need, how much area can we cover with these things to get that in place. One of the other things we've been working on for a while now is we got a $65,000 grant for a license plate reader. And what that is, it's down in front of Chick-fil-A, there is a state highway pole that sits there. And these are like the monitors that you use when you go on the turnpike. If you got one of the scanners, You don't even have to stop. It just scans your transponder. Yeah, the Easy Pass, thank you. And so we got a grant for $65,000. We're working the details out with the state. I know Russ has been involved with that, back and forth. Once we get that in, we will be able to monitor traffic in both directions based on your license plates. And that system's hooked in with all of the other local agencies. And so we can tell, if we're on the lookout for a particular fugitive, that license plate will pick it up. And, it's a fantastic tool. So we hope to get that online here shortly. It just depends on how well we can work with the state of West Virginia.
That Christian Ong's was the guy that gave me the idea.
Oh, he's fantastic, Tom.
And I think our number one obligation is public safety, and if there's anything we can do to help enhance that or the drug problem, I don't want $1.4 million, but just $1 million.
Well,
It's just some reasonable amount of money.
I understand. And that's the reason why when I brought up my comment about the gift card is we can take that money and we can designate some of it to the police department. We can designate some of it to the fire department. Okay? Because I guarantee you Craig Metz can spend every dollar we throw at him on water and sewer. Plus. For years. Okay? Unfortunately, there's 6 other departments and every one of them says, well, gosh, I'd sure like to have some hose and I could use a camera or two, But at any rate, that's the point of that. And Tom, thank you. I understand what you mean now. So this is our initial go at this. As Jim has pointed out numerous times, obviously we don't have to spend it all tomorrow. We only got half of the distribution this year. We won't get the other half until next year. But we do have considerable resources in our capital reserve that we've accumulated over the last few years. So I guess what I'd like now is, I know we're going to give you the water and sewer projects that Burgess and Nyepel has done. We're going to try to reach out and get some better numbers on the swimming pool potential repairs. And what else would you like more documentation on? Master plan, obviously, we're waiting on it.
That should be done pretty soon. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, then send me an email. Send me something. Say, hey, I've been thinking about what we talked about. We need to take a look at this. All right. Obviously, Mr. and Mrs. Stouffer are here tonight. Their project, we've been messing with that thing now for way longer than we should have. And so we need to kind of keep in mind, what we can do to make that better for those folks. And with that, I guess that's the end of the council discussion. If there's nothing else, just please keep me updated and we'll keep going with this. All right?
We have someone really ready for it.
Yeah, he's toasted. Okay. Yeah, it's the way that ring. He needs to take that ring off his neck.
I've been praying for it.
Yeah, there you go. All right.
That's what Tom said.
That concludes our agenda for this evening. Would you have any council comments you'd like to make? All right. Hearing none. Thank you all for coming. All right. Meeting adjourned.